Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about PSP, PlayStation 2, Sega Dreamcast and more. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about Sega Dreamcast emulation on Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, and possibly more with Flycast. Flycast just got a brand new update, so version 2.1 is the latest version, and there's something here for pretty much every single system this is available on. For Android, there's now keyboard support. For iOS, there's now texture upscaling. There's a whole bunch of bug fixes and performance improvements, and Flycast is 100% free and open source. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the GitHub in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Next up is a quick PSA about Vita 3K. I've been getting a ton of questions about game compatibility, both on Android and on PC. Vita 3K does have a compatibility list, and I'd recommend checking it out. It gets updated quite frequently, and it'll tell you exactly what's going on with whatever game you're looking for. On top of that, the development team has been extremely active making improvements for both PC and Android. On GitHub here, they're working quite diligently and updating quite frequently. And if you wanted to see specific games in action and possible settings in order to optimize these games, whether it's PC or Android, I'll drop a link to their Discord group in the description below. It's a really awesome Discord group with a ton of great information in it. Moving on here, we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on pretty much everything, including a browser with Play. Play just got a brand new development update and things are looking a lot better. Now, the last time we talked about Play was back at the beginning of January, and at that point in time 32.4 games were listed as playable. And at this point in time, just a month and a half later, they're up a couple of percent here. 34.33% of games are now listed as playable. Play is 100% free, it's open source, it's compatible with a whole bunch of different systems, and it doesn't require a BIOS file. If you are interested in Play, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Next up, we're talking about a game that was initially really hyped up and really popular and has since kind of died out, and that's MultiVersus. According to SteamDB, MultiVersus stats are kind of abysmal to where they were before. As of this moment, right now, 959 people are currently playing the game. In the last 24 hours, the peak was 1,085 players at one time. The max it has ever seen was 7 months ago with 153,433 people playing at once. To say these stats have nosedived just a little bit might be an understatement. Now, I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about the future of MultiVersus. I mean, stats are down completely across the board, even on Twitch. Right now, 407 people are watching MultiVersus compared to the 183,000 at its all-time peak. Games like this tend to die away when there's not really a demand for them. We've seen it recently with some other games that I've covered in previous videos on this channel. Apex Legends Mobile comes to mind, and well, so does Rumbleverse. Moving on now, and we're going from a game with support to a game only with fan support. Zill Ollie, and this one is available at romhacking.net. It's a fan translation. They've translated this PS2 RPG from Japanese to English. I've never played this one before and I'm really curious about it. Now, I think I just called this game Zill Ollie, although it's spelled Zill All. I'm not quite sure on how to pronounce it. If you know, let me know in the comments below. The only thing I know here is that it stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano. If you wanted to see some gameplay, I'll drop a link to a gameplay video in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Next up here, we're talking about AMD, and AMD just released the source code for FidelityFX FSR2 version 2.2. This might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but for developers out there, this is amazing. Now, there are some emulators out there currently using FSR, and an updated FSR might help out with some performance, some upscaling performance on certain emulators, possibly something like Yuzu or even Ryujinx. Next up, we're talking about the PSP, and a whole bunch of prototypes thanks to the Hidden Palace. The Hidden Palace has just released 12 different PSP prototypes. Stuff like Monster Hunter, Metal Slug, BlazBlue, and more. So if you wanted to learn more about these prototypes, I'll drop a link to the Hidden Palace's website in the description below. Feel free to check it out. And last up here, we're talking about an open source browser, Mozilla Firefox. And Firefox has just released version 110.0. If you don't have an Intel GPU and you are on Windows, you might notice some performance improvements. So version 110.0 enables the overlay of hardware-decoded video with non-Intel GPUs on Windows 10 and 11. It improves video playback performance and video scaling quality. There's been some improvements here for macOS and Linux, and WebGL performance improvements for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and there's been a whole bunch of security fixes. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a ton today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.